Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 1. Now let's start the fanfic. Naruto had managed to master a total of 2 forbidden jutsu from the Scroll of Sealing. One of them was the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the other was the so-called Mind Domination Jutsu. Being a little bad when it came down to book smarts, Naruto didn't understand much about the whole science that went behind the technique, but he did manage to get the general meaning. Any woman who the caster of the jutsu kisses would be forever his. At first, the newly graduated genin didn't even consider the possibilities of what he could accomplish with a power like that. There was only a single reason why Naruto even bothered to learn it in the first place: to win over his childhood crush, Sakura Haruno. He hated that the girl was incredibly infatuated with his rival Sasuke, so if he could snag her away from him, in his mind that would be the first step towards proving how much better than Sasuke he was. There was a warning at the part of the scroll about the domination jutsu. The power bestowed to the shinobi by this jutsu can be both a blessing and curse. Be careful with how you use it. Naruto read it but didn't pay it any mind. What good is a jutsu you can learn if you can't even use it anyway? That was the thought process of the newly graduated Foxy genin. Chapter 1. It was a sunny afternoon at Konoha. Today had been the day of the assignments of the different teams of genin. Naruto was assigned to Team 7 together with his crush Sakura and his rival Sasuke. The group had dispersed after the assignments ended. He noticed that Sasuke was going back home, and so Naruto had the perfect opportunity of executing a plan that he'd developed a few days earlier. The boy then sneaked his way into his rival's window, jumped him, tied him up at his own home, transformed into him, went to find Sakura, flirted with her, and was about to kiss her. "Sasuke-kun," said Sakura, her heart racing, ready to kiss the transformed Naruto on his lips. The boy also had his heart racing at the moment, but his reason was a bit different. He was about to literally crap his pants. The milk he drank at his breakfast apparently hadn't done wonders for his stomach, and diarrhea was fast approaching. Thankfully, the thought of winning the girl over made him able to hold on to his intestines a little longer as the world's most awkward kiss happened. It lasted about 5 seconds after their lips had touched. After the couple separated, Sakura looked mesmerized, her face all red, unable to believe what had just happened. That made Naruto doubt if the jutsu had indeed worked, but he wasn't about to stick around to find out in that state. As fast as he could, the blonde genin ran to nearest toilet available so he could finish his deed. "I hope that stupid jutsu worked. I don't know when I'll have another chance to impersonate Sasuke," said Naruto to himself, as he walked alone in the streets, still a little bit skeptical. "I really wouldn't put it above Grandpa Hokage to write that jutsu down on the scroll as a joke. That pervert," continued Naruto, with a foxy look, as he remembered the old man falling for his jutsu just the day before. After a bit of walking, he was back to the place where he had kissed Sakura. And the girl was still there, sitting on the very same bench. "Hey Sakura, how are you doing? Wanna have some ramen with me?" asked Naruto, as he approached the pink-haired girl. To his surprise, the girl giggled before giving her answer. "I would love to, my master," said her, with a smile. Naruto stopped in his tracks for a few instants, caught completely off guard. "Master, what's going on?" Sakura asked him, weirded out by her treating him in that way. After a few instants it finally hit him. That must have been the effect of the forbidden jutsu he had casted on her. But still, he wasn't really expecting any of that master stuff. "Nothing, I'm just saying that I'd be happy to go. I'd do anything for you," She explained, like saying that was the most normal thing on the world, making Naruto blush a little bit. Okay, let's get going then, I guess. Answered him, trying to brush off the awkwardness of the situation. He wasn't used to being treated as a normal person by Sakura of all people, much less like an important person or a type of master. The two walked together and finally got to the Ichiraku ramen shop. They each ordered their food and started eating, talking and just having fun in general. That was turning out to be of the happiest days in Naruto's life. Seeing the two made Chuki, the owner of the shop and friend of Naruto, want to have a little fun. Hey Naruto, is she your girlfriend? Asked him, while washing dishes. Still not used to her changed behavior, he fully expected Sakura to strongly deny it, but the girl simply giggled and gave him a sweet smile as Naruto awkwardly laughed, not knowing how to react. After they finished eating their meals, Naruto once again turned around to face the girl. Hey Sakura, can you come home with me? I feel like need to talk some things over. Asked Naruto, with his hands on the back of his head. Sure. Answered her, very casually. I'll make up an excuse to my parents. The girl finished, not worried at all. The duo then left Ichiraku. The young couple soon reached Naruto's apartment. It was already dusk, the sky painted in a beautiful mixture of red, orange and pink. Weirdly enough, Sakura seemed more comfortable about being there with Naruto than Naruto seemed to be with her. Sorry for the mess, said Naruto, as he welcomed Sakura into his messy living room. Don't worry, I think it's quite cozy, said Sakura, honestly. The two genin sat on the couch, Naruto trying to wrap his head around forming a sentence to address that very weird situation. Sakura, you said you'd do anything for me, right? Asked him, a little bit shy. Anything for you, master. She answered, without any doubt in her tone of voice. Then, would you like to be my girlfriend? Asked the blonde, very nervous. As I said, anything for you, master. Sakura answered, giving him a sweet smile. Yes. Naruto jumped, feeling like he achieved greatest victory in life. He had just made Sasuke's biggest fangirl his girlfriend. He was prepared to wake up at his bed at any moment, as if everything had been just a dream, but it was real. As far as he was concerned, he didn't need anything more than to be able to brag to people about she being his new girlfriend and for her to keep treating him like a normal person. But Sakura had something else in mind. Now that I'm your girlfriend, master, it's only natural that we consummate our relationship, said Sakura, as she got up on her feet. I mean, what else would you bring me to your house at this time? She explained, blushing a little with a coy expression. Naruto didn't quite get what she was talking about, but was taken aback when she started to remove her qipao. The boy went mouth agape as he witnessed Sakura's upper body. Her body was delicate and feminine, but she was incredibly flat-chested. His only exposition to the female body were the girls in the dirty magazines he used as basis for the creation of his waijutsu. But even then, he never felt for them he was feeling now. His member was hard, and for the first time he was feeling truly lustful for a woman. Who cares if the girl was flat-chested? I had learned this sort of thing wanting to please Sasuke, said Sakura, as she approached Naruto in the couch, without taking off her shorts. But now my eyes are open, you're the only one worthy of me, master. She then straddled Naruto on the couch and kissed him. This time however the kiss was different. It was wet, and they licked and ate each other's tongues as Naruto's erection got even harder. Unable to hold himself back, Naruto grabbed Sakura's hips with both his hands and held her tight. They kissed for a few minutes, and when they parted their lips, Sakura quickly slid her hand to the boy's crotch, taking out his, a Thai expression on her face. Sakura, what are you doing? Asked him as Sakura started to relentlessly at his, working her tongue swiftly through every part of his organ, until he slowly started to build up to orgasm. Does it feel good, master? Asked the girl. It does. Naruto moaned as he got his ed. Of course he had masturbated before, but this pleasure was something else, it was 100 times better. Keep going. Yes. I'm coming. Said. She rapidly approached sweet release. Then, Sakura suddenly stopped, and what followed was the release of Naruto's juice splattering the girl in the face, who chuckled in response to it. That was fast, master. But I think it's to be expected since this is the first time for both of us. Naruto couldn't even speak properly, that orgasm had been the best in his life. Well, let's continue, asked the girl, as she wiped the cum of her face with tissues. I don't think can I go on right now? Answered Naruto, his flaccid after the orgasm. Sakura looked at the sight of his, seemingly not worried. That won't be a problem, answered her, standing up and turning her back in front of him. Naruto stared at her backside. The boy didn't know if he was hallucinating from the pleasure or if it was just his hormones clouding his mind, or even if that was reality since she had always kept it hidden inside that dress, but Naruto thought that Sakura's was amazing. The girl was very petite, that much was true, but her butt was strangely well developed. And he could see almost every detail of it with her wearing those tight shorts. The girl then started to squat on Naruto's, massaging the member with her unable to resist to that. His quickly got hard again, his balls swollen, ready for another round. Let's move on to the main event then, said Sakura, as she once again stood up, taking off her shorts and headband, letting her long hair flow. Naruto couldn't stop staring at her vagina, his getting harder and harder. The girl then laid him on the couch like a bed and straddled him, grabbing hold of his and swiftly inserting it on the entrance to her, taking it all in one push. Ah! Moaned the girl as she broke her own hymen. She didn't stop at that though, and after a few more slow and painful thirsts of Naruto's, the pain slowly started to become pleasure, and she started to truly ride him. At the same time, Naruto started to grab and hold firmly to her, which made the girl moan even more in pleasure. As they ed like two animals in heat, Sakura, drunk by those feelings, started to ride him even more furiously as she craved more and more pleasure. Yes, master, harder, moaned her, fueling Naruto's already crazy pleasure, as he started to once again get close to orgasm. The girl came first, she moaned loudly as she fully descended on his, yes. She yelled as she felt the climax of pleasure. Witnessing that alone was enough to get Naruto to climax too. Sakura, I'm coming too. As he thirsted his in her as deep as possible and then released his semen, not caring about any consequence whatsoever. As the pleasure subsided, their minds started to get back on track. Naruto felt incredibly glad to have bothered to learn that technique. He felt that he'd opened a door to a blissful path of life that, without the mind domination jutsu, he wouldn't ever have access to. Sakura had her heart aflutter, happy to have served her master, as she laid on top of his body, her dripping with semen. In time, they both recovered from that post-orgasm state. They put their clothes back on, and Naruto went to his kitchen to get some leftover sandwiches he had on his fridge to eat with Sakura. As the couple ate their snack and talked casually, Naruto decides to tackle some important topics with his new girlfriend. Sakura, it's not that I don't like it or anything, but can you stop with that master thing? At least when we're with other people. asked Naruto, with a bit of a concerned look on his face. People may find it weird. I think it would be best if you just acted like a normal girlfriend when we're in public. He finished. No problem. I'll do anything you ask of me, Naruto. She answered, with a happy look, making the boy chuckle. Just one last thing, Sakura, can you stay the night? Asked the boy, a little bit embarrassed. Of course. I'll just make up some other excuse to tell my parents tomorrow. You're more important to me after all. Answered the girl, making Naruto grow a huge smile. The couple then, after finishing the food, took a shower and went to bed. Sakura fell asleep first, clinging to Naruto's body. The boy took a bit longer. That had probably been one of the happiest days of his life. Sakura was treating him in a way that nobody else had ever done, not even the few people who already respected Naruto. Hell, she was sleeping with him, fine with staying the night at his house and willing to lie to her parents for his sake. He didn't care if it was just the effect of some jutsu. That was heaven for the immature genin. Before falling asleep, Naruto decided to never use that technique again on anyone else. The boy had already gotten the girl he liked. What more could he ask for? Now, his only other goal was to train hard and become Hokage. Following that day, Naruto's life changed quite a lot. His newfound relationship with Sakura had been the talk of the Konoha 9. Ino and Kiba were especially dumbfounded at the sudden 180 that Sakura had took in her treatment of Naruto. In fact, they were impressed that a loser like him was even able to get a girlfriend in the first place. Ino, of course, had to mock Sakura at the first chance she got about how poor her choice of boyfriend was. Sakura played along and bickered with her rival like always in order to obey Naruto's command of acting mostly normal when in public. Sasuke was glad to finally have his biggest fangirl off his back. Beyond this, he couldn't really care less about his teammates. All he wanted at the moment was to carry on with his ninja training and get stronger. Soon the team met their sensei, a Junin named Kakashi. They undertook the bell test and passed after a lot of struggling, and before they knew, the team was already active doing D-rank missions for the village. After losing his virginity, Naruto's drive suddenly skyrocketed. He didn't know if it was just something related to his age, or if it was related to the jutsu, or if it was something else entirely, but he was indeed getting hornier and hornier by the minute. To the point where the two lovebirds would find themselves having escapades between missions just to have. She would also regularly spend the night at his house for that same purpose, all the while giving very well-planned excuses to her parents. After all, Sakura was an incredibly smart girl. And so their lives carried on, until the day they received that fateful rank C mission to escort an old bridge builder to his home in the Land of Waves. During the trip, Naruto didn't have any time to relieve himself of the tension by banging Sakura. After all, since the roads were dangerous, everyone had to stay very close to each other and alert at all times, especially after the attack of the Demon Brothers and Zabuza Momoki. It was only after the team made their way into the bridge builder's home that Naruto and Sakura finally found time to do it. And they sure did it a lot. Every day, the couple would sneak to the woods in the middle of the night just to have. Despite this, however, the whole situation was still under control. Nobody seemed to suspect a thing. That is, until Naruto's libido started to get the better of him. Tsunade was the daughter of the bridge builder and mother of a little boy named Inari, who had lost his father to an evil business tycoon who had taken control of the Land of Waves. Despite being a mother and a housewife, she was still very young. In fact, she was 29 years old. That meant that Tsunade was at the peak of her physical condition, and her plump wide hips and roundwear noticeable even with the baggy clothing that she liked to wear. Naruto had never really felt anything for any woman other than Sakura, yet the boy was starting to notice Tsunade. The boy would get hard every time the woman would bend over at the kitchen. He couldn't stop himself from staring as much as he wanted to. At first, he managed to brush it off and relieve that lust by having with Sakura, but it was getting worse and worse with time. He started to imagine himself coping a feel of the woman's ass, grabbing her and having her his. He wanted to her, badly. It was a little bit past midnight. At that time, as usual, Naruto and Sakura snuck out of Tsunade's house to have in the middle of the woods nearby. The couple found themselves a nice spot and started going at it right after taking off the clothes. "I'm coming," said Naruto, with his eyes closed, as he pulled out his from Sakura's and shot all his cum in her back after that round of doggy styling. "That was great," said him, panting, very tired after the. Sakura just stood there not talking and wiping herself off with the tissues she had brought over in her pouch. "You were thinking about someone else as we ate, right, Naruto?" asked Sakura, in a casual tone. That made Naruto gasp. He wasn't expecting her to figure him out just like that. "It's not like that. I mean, how can you know that?" asked the genin, scared shitless of the girl dumping him for that. "Why else would you keep your eyes closed during the whole time?" answered Sakura, finishing the cleaning process and throwing the tissues away. Naruto looked defeated, certain that he was about to lose his girlfriend. "Naruto, what's up?" asked Sakura again, this time with a puzzled look, not understanding why Naruto was looking down. "Aren't you mad at me, Sakura? Because I betrayed you by getting horny for another girl," replied Naruto, now just feeling confused. Sakura just chuckled at that. "Not all, silly," she answered, as she started to put her shorts and cheapao back on. "I'll support you on anything and everything. That includes if you wish to go after other girls as well," finished the girl, as she stood up on her feet. Naruto was very relieved. He truly didn't want to have these types of feelings for Tsunade, but for some reason he couldn't help it. It was like he couldn't fully control his actions. "Who's the lucky girl? Is she from the village?" asked Sakura, giving him a curious look. Naruto's face was red, a little bit embarrassed to answer that. "It's Inari's mom," replied the blonde ninja, standing up as well. Sakura gave him a sarcastic smile. "You know she's almost old enough to be your mother, right?" "I know. But I can't help it," replied Naruto, with a foxy expression. "Naruto, you're such a horndog," commented Sakura, having fun. "But it's not in my place to judge, so, how about we start figuring out a way for you to get it on with her?" suggested the girl, in an eager tone. The couple brainstormed a few ideas but nothing good would ever come up. They had training the whole day and neither Naruto nor Sakura had the liberty to skip on it. After all, Zabuza was still on the loose. And at night, the house was crowded. There was no way Naruto was gonna have enough alone time with Tsunade to do the deeds with her, and as the cherry on top of the cake, Naruto had no idea of how he was gonna have her kiss him on the lips. Of course, doing it forcibly was out of the question. As more and more time passed, it seemed that it would be impossible for Naruto to enact his plan. However, after the battle with Zabuza and Haku on the bridge, Team 7 spent one final day on the Land of Waves to celebrate their victory and the inauguration of the bridge. And in that day, Naruto had the perfect opportunity. It was as if the stars had aligned to make all that possible. It was a sunny afternoon in the Land of Waves. Sasuke requested that Kakashi gives him more training, so they both left early for the woods to practice even more wall climbing. Also, Tazuna was out taking care of the last touches for the inauguration. Seeing that golden opportunity that had presented itself, Naruto and Sakura put their plans into motion. The Kunoichi took Inari to play outside, as far away from the house as possible, leaving only Naruto and Tsunade home alone for the whole afternoon. The housewife was in the dining room washing today's dishes, while Naruto sat at the table, waiting for a chance to strike at his target, checking out her while she wasn't looking. After finishing to wash the final dinner plate, Tsunade turned to the shinobi, taking off her apron. "Naruto, there's something I need to tell you," said Tsunade, in a grateful tone of voice. "I'm sure you already got high praise from everyone for everything you did to save our country, you're probably even tired of it." She then sat in front of him and continued speaking. "But still, I have to tell you that I am very grateful. Not only for that, but for also saving me and Inari from those thugs." She was getting emotional, probably scared of what would have happened if Naruto hadn't shown up. And speaking of Inari, Tsunade opened a happy smile. "He's so cheerful now, so brave, so happy and motivated. I hadn't seen him like this ever since Kaiser passed away. And it's all thanks to you, Naruto. I'll forever be grateful to you." She finished with a happy smile. That was it, Naruto's chance had finally come. The ninja mustered all the courage he had in his heart, and then made the first move. "Then, can I ask something of you? I mean, a favor?" asked him, very awkwardly. "A favor," said Tsunade, curious. "And what would that be?" "Something that only you can give me." Naruto danced around the question, trying to postpone a little the embarrassment for what he was about to ask. Tsunade was very intrigued, but still very much oblivious as to what would be the true nature of this favor. "All right, if it's in my power, I'll do it. You're the reason we're all here after all, Naruto," answered the housewife, sure that it wouldn't be anything bad. "Can you give me a kiss?" Naruto avoided looking at her when asking that question. "Oh my." Tsunade immediately blushed, having been caught totally off guard by Naruto. A kiss. The last time Tsunade had kissed a man was when Kaiser was still alive, and now Naruto was here asking for one too. "I just think you're really beautiful, Miss Tsunade." The ninja continued, not sure if he was making the situation better or worse. The realization that Naruto saw her as a woman had hit her really hard. She had the impression that the blonde genin would occasionally check out her body, but she always thought it had been just her imagination up to that point. Does that mean that she was still desired by man? That she still retained her feminine charms despite being a mother? All those thoughts stirred up something long dormant inside her body. Tsunade didn't have male attention for quite some time. "So, what's your answer?" asked Naruto, growing impatient, and taking her out of her trance. He's just a boy, and had developed a crush for her, something completely normal. That's what Tsunade thought, trying to regain her composure in that situation. It's true that he saved everyone, but that was still a lot to ask of her. A kiss was something very intimate. But then, what harm could come out of it? She would just give him a small peck and he'd be gone in the next day. "All right, but just a peck," answered her, with a playful grin. Naruto had did it, he secured his chance to cast the jutsu, now all he needed was to kiss her. He looked around to see if they were truly alone, and after confirming it, leaned over to kiss the woman. The jutsu activated as soon as their lips touched, and after the peck ended and they parted, Tsunade looked at Naruto as if she had reached some sort of enlightenment. Still not used to all that, Naruto wasn't sure if it had worked. Suddenly, he felt her lips touching his own once more, as the woman grabbed him and kissed like her life depended on it. This is hot, thought Naruto. His quickly got erect as his tongue wrestled with Tsunade's, and he got hornier by the second. The woman's hands obscenely traveled through the ninja's body, running him with one and grabbing his butt with the other. Filled with pure lust, Naruto started to dry hump Tsunade during the kiss, making her let out a few quiet moans. "I've needed this for so long," said the woman, pure bliss radiating from her face. "Thank you so much, master." Naruto was drooling at this point. His was throbbing with excitement. "I trust you want to go all the way with me," said her, looking suggestively at his erection. Naruto merely confirmed it with his head, unsure of what to say, his senses clouded by pleasure, making Tsunade chuckle. The older woman then took off her clothes, throwing them on the ground and revealing her voluptuous and adult body. A lacy pair of white underwear hugged her curves perfectly. Her body wasn't at all like Sakura's, and Naruto was incredibly eager to get a taste of it. The woman then sat Naruto on top of the table and removed his pants, revealing his bulging for the world to see. And then, she eagerly started to lick in his length like a popsicle. Naruto was on cloud 9, his was getting ed by an older and wise woman, he knew that he wouldn't be able to last for much longer. "I'm about to come." Having heard that and not wanting to spill any cum in the kitchen to hide their secret little affair, Tsunade took his whole length in her mouth and waited as he released his first load into her mouth. Naruto's orgasm took a very long time. That was one of the best experiences he ever had in his life, and it took a while for the post-orgasm bliss to wear off on him. "So vigorous," said the woman, after swallowing his entire load. "You released so much and yet you're still hard. I guess it's true when they say that boys your age have a lot of stamina." Naruto's was indeed hard and ready for more, even though the ninja was almost out of breath. Tsunade then bent herself over in the table and raised her. "Let's get to the main event now," said the horny woman, blushing to no end. Naruto didn't waste even a second. He quickly took off her lacy white panties and threw them away. The ninja then penetrated her with his whole length on the first thrust. Soon, they started going at it like animals in heat, with his balls clapping against her cheeks with each thrust, they both moving her bodies and yearning for release. Tsunade's was looser than Sakura's since she was a mother, so it didn't feel as good. But Naruto didn't even notice that as he was deriving most of the pleasure from the knowledge that he was in a bombshell like Tsunade, a girl that wasn't even his girlfriend, and with the permission of his actual girlfriend. After a good 15 minutes of non-stop banging, Naruto came again, this time inside her, with the feeling of his hot seed flowing inside her triggering Tsunade's own orgasm. The woman moaned like crazy as Naruto held her bra-covered ass as they lost themselves in that climax of overwhelming pleasure. "You came inside of me," said Tsunade, between her post-orgasm heavy breathing. "Are you trying to give Inari a little brother?" she asked, playfully. "I'm sorry. I should have been more careful," said Naruto, genuinely worried, now realizing that he had came inside and didn't even notice it. Tsunade chuckled, seemingly less worried about that than him. "Let's move to my room, there we can make as much of a mess as we want," said the woman, after noticing Naruto's erection between her cheeks. He was still ready to do more. They both then grabbed their clothes and made their way into Tsunade's room. She had her own room that she used to share with Kaiser when he was alive, so it was pretty isolated from the rest of the house, making it the perfect place to fool around with Naruto. They both then got completely. Naruto noticed that Tsunade had some pubic hair on her crotch, but not that much. The woman then laid back in her futon and spread her legs, inviting Naruto in with a seductive expression. "Come, hero of the land of waves," said her, in a sultry tone. "Claim your prize for having saved us all. Take me for yourself and me." That was too much for Naruto. He had never been the dominant one in before, but right now he knew that he had to be. He quickly jumped on top of her, inserting his heart into her once more, and then starting to her in missionary position. The moaning was getting out of control. It was as if they were totally isolated from the outside world. They both moaned loudly as their bodies rubbed against each other, they both drunk in the stupor of pleasure. The feeling that the girl had was like the Tsunade had in the past with Kaiser, but this time it was much better, like the heaven had given her Naruto to compensate for having taken her husband. Once more, Naruto and her reached orgasm, but they didn't stop there. They continued for more and more, for hours on end, until they were both exhausted. Naruto resting with his face buried in Tsunade's bosom, and the woman still recovering for the overwhelming bliss she was feeling. Naruto's had finally quieted down, and he was completely out of energy. "You know, I was joking before, but after you came so much inside me, I think that there are real chances of me getting pregnant," she said, blushing. "For real?" asked the ninja, this time even more worried. "Don't worry, our village is small, so more children being born is always a good thing. Especially now that we'll be able to prosper because of the bridge. And Inari doesn't have many friends, so a sibling would be good for him." That relieved Naruto a bit. Still, it was a strange feeling, knowing that it was possible for him to become a dad. Hell, he didn't even have a dad. How would he be able to know how to act? "But really, don't worry about that. I won't have you take responsibility. You still have your own path to follow and dreams to achieve," said her. That wasn't enough to convince Naruto though. "If I even get pregnant, I can play it off as having gotten pregnant from a public bathroom or something, and the child will already have a father figure in my dad. It won't be a burden, I promise," she finished with a smile. That smile eased Naruto's consciousness a little. He still felt bad about leaving a child without a dad because that's exactly what happened to himself, but if he was going to at least have a family, then it would probably be alright. "But keep in mind that I won't be able to keep this ruse if the child is born with blonde spiky hair and whiskers, okay?" she said, playfully, making Naruto crack a foxy smile. "We should get ready, it's almost time for the party," concluded Tsunade, getting up on her feet. She then realized that Naruto was fast asleep, as he had wasted all his energy in. Tsunade then dressed him and took him to his own futon to rest. She was going to say to his teammates that he was still exhausted from the fight at the bridge. And so Naruto slept blissfully with a smile, unknowingly missing the entire party. The next morning, Naruto woke up to the sight of his girlfriend Sakura looking at his eyes. "Get up, sleepyhead. It's time for us to go back to the village." After getting back from the land of waves, Team 7 resumed the normal rank D missions. Picking up trash, taking dogs on walks, finding lost pets, all the things they previously did in their normal daily professional lives as ninjas. Naruto and Sakura's relationship continued as normal. They'd often go on dates and regularly had. After all, Naruto's newly acquired libido made him get horny in a much higher frequency. However, contrary to what he initially thought, having with Tsunade back in the land of waves hadn't been enough to make him stop lusting for other women. In fact, it seemed to make it worse. Now, Naruto was having Yule thoughts about all kinds of girls. Ayami from Ichiraku, his friend Hinata, even Ino, whom Naruto couldn't stand for being an annoying Sasuke fangirl. Of course he knew that Sakura wouldn't mind if he went after them, but he still felt bad for not being able to remain faithful to his girlfriend. But then again, was it really cheating if Sakura was okay with it? Should he really feel bad for wanting to other girls? These questions plagued Naruto's mind while he carried on with his day-to-day life. That is, until the Chunin exams started. The ultimate test for the genin. Team 7 decided to take part in it, with Naruto and Sasuke determined to become Chunin, and Sakura seeking only to support Naruto and help him achieve his goals. The written exam was grueling enough, but the truly terrifying part would be the second one, a survival test in the Forest of Death. As soon as the test started, Team 7 were already faced with incredible challenges. Enemy teams kidnapping and trying to impersonate their team members, attacks from giant animals and a battle with a terrifying snake lady. With Sakura participating more actively in the battle with the goal of protecting Naruto, the orange shinobi managed to survive it without passing out, but the same couldn't be said of their Uchiha friend. Sasuke had been bitten on the neck by the snake lady, who then disappeared, leaving Naruto and Sakura to tend to their friend until he recovered and woke up. However, their ordeal wasn't over yet. A team of sound genin attacked Naruto and Sakura and took them by surprise. Thankfully, help soon arrived in the form of Rock Lee and Team 10. Together, they managed to drive away the sound ninja and even capture one of them, a fiery kunoichi by the name of Kintsuchi. Soon after they say the goodbyes, Sasuke woke up and Team 7 resumed their activities on the exam. Later, Sasuke and Sakura then tied up Kin with a rope and left her in camp with Naruto to watch over her as they went out to hunt for food and water. But there was just one slight problem: Naruto was pent up. He hadn't had in days, and now he'd be alone in the woods with a pretty girl for hours on end while his teammates looked for food. Naruto did his best to push away the thoughts of doing naughty things with Kin, trying to justify it by thinking of her as an enemy, and that it really wasn't the time for. But in the end, Naruto's libido got the best of him, and he started to look for a window to kiss her and activate the mind domination jutsu. "Hey, what's the sound village like?" asked Naruto, awkwardly sitting beside the tied-up kunoichi. Kin ignored him completely, not even looking at his general direction. "Hey, are you listening?" asked Naruto, all the while she continued to completely ignore him. That pissed Naruto off. He hated being ignored more than almost anything. He had enough of people pretending he didn't exist during his childhood. "What's wrong with you? I'm just trying to make conversation. There's no need to pretend that I'm not even here," said Naruto, getting up on his feet. Kin gave Naruto a nasty look. "Conversation? Why should I engage in small talk with the enemy?" asked Kin just as pissed off as Naruto was. "I'm not stupid. I know that you just want to get any information you can from me, and I will not willingly give it to you." Naruto went mouth agape, getting even angrier. "What the hell is your problem?" yelled the ninja, pointing his finger at her. "Who do you think I am? That weirdo proctor from the written test. Just shut up, you loud, annoying brat," yelled her right back at him. "You already captured and humiliated me. Just leave me alone, brat. But you're the same age as me." That did it. Naruto lost all his desire to engage in any intimacy with the sound kunoichi. "You know what? Fine. I don't need to know anything more about your stupid village. I'm sure it's a big dump anyway." The orange ninja turned his back at her, sat down, a foxy pissed off expression on his face and his arms crossed. "A dump? How dare you? Said Kin, trying her all to burst out of her bindings so that she could smack Naruto in the face. It's true that the Sound Village didn't really exist and all Sound Ninja were basically Orochimaru's servants, but she wouldn't allow that dumb orange loser to insult him any further. Unfortunately, those bindings were perfectly crafted by Sakura and Sasuke. She would never be able to break out, so the best she could do was squirm. Eventually, she got tired, took a deep breath and quieted down. Ashamed of having engaged in such childish bicker with another ninja, an enemy even. However, she noticed that the orange annoying guy wasn't the brightest. And that he seemed pretty naive for a ninja, soft even. She could very well try and take advantage anyway, not that it would matter in the long run anyway. She had been captured, proved herself useless and a burden to Lord Orochimaru. She was sure that he'd kill her as soon as she went back to him. Hey, she broke the few minutes of silence between her and Naruto. The boy still ignored her. Is it true that you don't want any information from me? Yes, answered Naruto, still in an offended tone of voice. We're not about to torture someone. We're just holding you hostage so you can't go back to your teammates and cause more trouble for us before the test ends. At least that's what Sasuke and Sakura said. Explained Naruto. That was her chance. Then, can I ask you something? Said Kin, in a fake nervous tone. What is it? You want to pee or something? I can take to you some nearby bush. Said Naruto, turning around to look at her, innocently. No. Of course not, you moron. Answered Kin, her face blushing. Then what is it? Asked Naruto, crossing his arms again. Kin took a deep breath, and then reflected for a few seconds before saying anything. Can you please kill me? Asked the Sound Ninja, avoiding to look Naruto at the eyes. What? Where did that come from? Naruto yelled, taken aback by that sudden request. If you don't have any use for me, and you're just keeping me alive to prevent me from returning to my team, wouldn't it be easier if you just killed me? Suggested Kin, still not looking directly at him. It made sense from a strict ninja-like standpoint, but that wasn't right. Thought Naruto. She was a human being. Are you insane? Did you hit your head back at the fight or something? Asked Naruto, still in shock. Why the hell would you want someone to kill you? Kin was losing patience. Oh, are you feeling sorry for me? Asked Kin. Or are you just such a big coward that you are afraid of finishing off a defenseless enemy? You know, like a decent ninja would. Taunted Kin. She wanted to make Naruto angry to manipulate him into finishing her off. You're just a soft, dumb, loud and annoying child playing ninja. You don't have what it takes to be a ninja, let alone to be promoted to Chunin. She continued to relentlessly throw insults at him, doing her best to hit a trigger. A ninja can't feel sorry for the enemy. And he especially can't let his emotions cloud his judgment of what's best for the mission. She continued, showing no signs of stopping. Do you think I forgot what you said back in the classroom right before the written exam? Said Kin, with a sarcastic smirk. You said you'd become Hokage someday. And you know what? If you carry on being a sentimental idiot like this, you won't even be fit to clean the Hokage's boots. You will never become Hokage. She hoped to have touched a nerve. Some of what she said here was just to rule Naruto up, but most of it came from the heart. She couldn't stand naive brats like him who pretended they knew anything about being a ninja. Naruto just stood there not talking for a few seconds, nothing but contempt in his expression. You know what? Asked Naruto, in a calm tone. You're right. She did. Thought Kin, he'd kill her right there and then she wouldn't have to face Orochimaru or her teammates in defeat. If to be a ninja is just to be a cold-blooded killer, then you're right, I'm a terrible ninja with no hope of ever becoming a good ninja. Said Naruto, thinking back to his confrontation back at the bridge, when Hakuhi had spared Sasuke despite knowing that killing him was the best option. But I've met my share of awesome ninja who would argue against it. Continued Naruto, still thinking back to Haku. And even if what you're saying is true and the way of the ninja is to be a cold-blooded killer, Naruto turned his back to Kin before finishing. I reject it, because I have my own ninja way to follow. Believe it. A gust of wind carried some leaves through the clearing where they were camped, breaking the silence that followed Naruto's final remark. Kin was speechless. That immature, childish knucklehead of a ninja hadn't become angry, and still didn't show any intent to take her life. She had failed. And what Naruto said had left her with much to think. She had been trained by Orochimaru and his servants, as an assassin prepared to take lives and give her own without second thought. Kim had no regard for human life, and having been raised in the Sound, she thought that all ninja were like that. But Naruto and his fellow Leaf ninja strongly challenged that belief, and if they were just wrong and naive as Kin had thought, why had they won? How could that her group was defeated by them? Kin silently thought about all that had happened, and Naruto just sat there, his back turned at her, silence dominating the clearing they were at. The girl knew that she didn't have much time left to live, and a few moments ago she was perfectly okay with it. But after what Naruto said, she started to doubt herself. She started to want to live, even if just a little. Kin's whole life was focused on her ninja training and serving Lord Orochimaru. She never had a normal childhood, never did the things that girls' age did, never had friends, never fell in love. And now she regretted never being able to do any of these things anymore. She had no future, and she started feeling bad about that for the first time in forever. Hey, Naruto, she said, in a defeated tone. I'm not going to kill you, give up already. He answered, still calm. I already gave up on trying to drill anything into that thick skull of yours. She took a long breath after saying that. Good, then what is it this time? Asked Naruto, turning around again to look at her. And how do you know my name? You announced it to everyone back at the classroom before the written exam. What you did was incredibly dumb, but still hard to forget. She teased him, but this time without any malicious intent. That's just who I am, answered Naruto, not bothered. What about you? What's your name? Kinsuchi, said the Sound Ninja, in a casual tone. Hey Naruto, you asked me before what was like in the Sound Village. Kin started. There isn't much to say, we're all trained from childhood to become the best ninja possible. She concluded. I guess a knucklehead ninja like you would indeed find it a dump, if you ever visited. Joked her, again, without any malicious intent. Very funny, answered Naruto, not taking the bait. Well, now that I've told you what was like living the Sound Village, how about telling me what living in the Leaf Village is like? Asked her, still in a casual tone. I like it a lot, answered Naruto, with a smile. The adults can be very mean sometimes, but it's not so bad. I have many people that believe in me here like Iruka-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura, Sasuke, Konohamaru, Grandpa Hokage. Naruto looked at the sky as he talked about his friends. Oh, and how could I forget? In the villages there's the Ichiraku ramen shop, it's delicious. And the owner is nice to me and even lets me eat for free once in a while. Naruto continued. I see, said Kin, looking down. It must be nice living here, being a big softy with many friends and all. She was visibly sad, and a bit jealous. Naruto noticed that, and started to feel a little sorry for the girl. Why don't you come with me to the Ichiraku once all this is over? It's not like we're enemies or anything, we're just competitors in this exam, said Naruto, excited about the prospect. And don't worry, I'm sure I can talk Grandpa Hokage into letting we go even if you're from another village. I can even introduce you to everyone then. A flash of hope quickly shined through Kin's eyes, but disappeared just as quickly. That sounds wonderful, said Kin, looking even more down. But I can't accept it. Why not? Asked Naruto. Naruto, I'm going to die. She finally said it, making the orange ninja gasp in shock. I was proved to be useless and a burden to the sound. The higher-ups will have me killed as soon as they have the chance. She had a weird smile in her face, a sad smile. That's why I wanted you to finish me off quickly before. Revealed her. They can do that. Naruto was still trying to wrap his head around that information. It's the way of our village. Kin had no hope in her tone of voice. And you're going to be okay with it. It's your life we're taking about. They have no right to murder you because you failed at something. Yelled Naruto, angry. I'm not okay with it. Kin blew up, yelling at him again, with her eyes full of tears. But you don't understand, Naruto. There is no running away from these people. I can't do anything. Tears flew down her cheeks as she opened her heart to the blonde ninja. I want to live a life outside of being a kunoichi. I want to see the world. I want to have friends. She was now crying like crazy, letting out all of her multiple pent-up frustrations. I even want to go with you to that stupid ramen shop. But I can't. Naruto saw her crying, vulnerable like a little girl, totally different from the fierce kunoichi that had attacked his camp earlier. Naruto then did something that he never thought he would. He took out a kunai from his pocket, and started walking towards Kin. He then raised his blade, and set her free of her bindings, cutting all of the rope clean. Naruto. Kin's feelings now had turned from confusion back into rage, but still sobbing a lot. What are you doing? I'm setting you free, said him. Why? I'm your enemy, asked her, yelling. No, you're not, answered Naruto, calm. You're a victim, a girl who was forced to become a cold-blooded killer for the Sound Village against your will. They robbed you of your life, and now I'm giving it back to you, believe it. Naruto's eyes shone with determination. Kin's mind was in overdrive, a storm of feelings that she'd never felt before dominated her psyche. Out of nowhere, the girl then ran in the direction of Naruto and punched him in the face. Only to right after that, hug him, and hold him hard, like she didn't want to ever let of him. Naruto, said her, sobbing, almost in a whisper. Thank you. Naruto then hugged her back. What Kin was feeling, there was something that she never before had felt in life. At that moment, she was feeling more alive than she had ever in life. Naruto had a glowing presence in him, like bright sun, warming her coldness and driving away her fear, even if for a moment. Even so, Kin knew that she would die. There was no escaping Orochimaru. But still, she wanted to try and live like a normal girl, if only for that brief moment. She didn't want to be a ninja then, just a girl, being able to show all her feelings and emotions. I'm such a disgrace. Letting myself cry like a little girl, said Kin, with a wry smile, still clinging to Naruto, who chuckled at her joke. They spent a few more moments like that, hugging each other, until Kin looked at Naruto in the eyes, blushing. I've never done it before, said her, embarrassed, obviously referring to Kin, said Naruto, unsure of what to say. I'm okay, if I do it with you. She struggles to say that, like an innocent maiden. Deep down, Kin had always been curious about love and relationships between boys and girls, but was never able to experience it, and now that she knew that she would die, she really wanted to try and enact her curiosity. Naruto then slowly took off her clothing, revealing a petite figure. She was wearing plain white underwear and blushed a lot. Naruto then laid her in the grass, taking the lead to compensate for the girl's inexperience. He removed her bra and panties, and then started to lick her, his tongues going through her folds like in a dance. Kin let out some timid moans as Naruto pleasured her. The girl had never felt pleasure quite like that. This was much better than touching herself. Soon, she was all wet. Alright, Kin, this is gonna hurt at the beginning, but soon it'll start to feel good, okay? Said Naruto, as he prepared his to penetrate Kin's. She did feel a sharp pain as Naruto's went inside her, breaking her hymen. But after a few thrusts, it did start to feel good for her. And soon, Naruto started to increase the rhythm of his thirsts, making Kin moan louder and louder as he pounded her in missionary position. She held firmly to Naruto's hands as she got deflowered by that annoying leaf ninja, whom she loathed just earlier that day, but saw him in a light which she didn't see anyone else in her life. Soon, Naruto started to feel his climax building up as he ed her. Kin, I'm coming. Do it inside. Please. The sound ninja begged, as if that was very important to her for some reason. The boy then shot all his sperm inside Kin's, damned be the consequences. With that final thrust also triggering Kin's orgasm, by far the strongest climax she'd ever felt in life. After they went through their post-orgasm bliss, Naruto and Kin were still clinging to each other, the boy on top of her. With the girl holding his hands as firmly as ever, a happy smile on her face. Can you keep going? She said, with a very sincere smile. I'd hate to not take full advantage of this opportunity. Yes, I can, answered Naruto, his still hard. Kin then bent over and rose her petite in the direction of the leaf ninja. Take my butt as well? Asked Kin. She wanted to try it all before the end. Naruto had never had anal before, so that really aroused him. He then, with caution, started to insert his into her butthole. As his manhood slid inside, the pain that Kin felt was unreal, way more than the pain she felt after losing her virginity. But the tightness also made so that Naruto felt really freaking good thrusting inside her. Soon, Kin also got used to it and started to feel pleasure. She started to touch her smalls with one hand and to masturbate with the other. All the while moaning like crazy. Once again, Naruto felt his orgasm building up, and that happened. He grabbed her small and softer cheeks as best as he could and shoved his whole length at her butthole, releasing yet another stream of hot spunk inside her anus. Which also triggered another orgasm of her. Soon after having used his jutsu on Kin, Naruto assumed that the others would be soon coming back to camp with the food and water, so Kin agreed to be tied up again in order to keep up the appearances for the time being. The rest of the test was rough, but with the help of Kabuto, Team 7 managed to reach the tower with both scrolls and pass the exam. The third part of the Chunin exams soon started with one-on-one preliminary matches between the remaining genin. Not wanting to associate herself any further with Orochimaru and the Sound, Kin forfeited her match with Shikamaru, much to the relief of the lazy genius. Naruto and Sasuke both passed, with Sakura's match resulting on a double KO with Ino, with none of the girls losing any hair in the process. The Sand siblings and Neji Hyuga, in Naruto's eyes, would be his greatest challenges going forward, and, from now on, he'd have to train like never before in order to stand a chance. But before that, the knucklehead ninja still had something very important to do. He had to keep a promise he made to the girl he swore to protect. The next morning, Naruto and Kin made their way into the Hokage's office to request an audience. With Naruto being the Leaf's Jinchuriki, Hiruzen Sarutobi managed to make some time to hear the boy out, curious as to why he was accompanied by a girl from the Sound Village. The duo entered the office, where Hiruzen sat behind his desk films with papers and scrolls, as he watched Naruto close the door behind him with an intrigued gaze. "So Naruto, I'm happy that you came to see me. But please try to keep this brief if it isn't very important. Please remember that I'm a very busy person," said the Hokage, in a gentle and fatherly tone of voice. Naruto looked serious and determined. Kin, on the other hand, was a bit nervous. "It's very important, Grandpa Hokage, you gotta believe it," said Naruto, making some steps towards the desk. "I met Kin here during the exams, and she wants to come live here in the village with me." Hiruzen widened his eyes after hearing that. "That's exactly what you heard." The orange genin had that determination on his eyes, signifying that he wasn't willing to take no for an answer. "Kin needs to get away from her village, because she'll be killed if she comes back to them. Naruto, please understand that things are not that simple," started the Hokage, in an understanding tone before getting interrupted by Kin. "Lord Hokage, my name is Kintsuchi. I understand all the implications of a serious request like this," said the girl, stepping forward. "But I believe that I bring information that could be vital to the Leaf in exchange for giving me asylum." Naruto looked impressed at Kin, at how she managed to properly use all those complicated words. Vital information. What vital information could a genin of the Sound Village be in possession of? Hiruzen wasn't expecting much, but he decided that it couldn't hurt to give it a shot and hear it. "Very well, my dear, let's hear it then," said the Hokage, with a piercing glare. Rin then told Hiruzen all about how her village was, in truth, a cover-up to Orochimaru's private organization of ninja, to his strongholds filled with kidnapped innocent people kept prisoner, and that there existed rumors of scary human experimentation of forbidden jutsu on humans. The girl then spilled the beans about how her team of Sound Genin had been sent to this iteration of the Chunin exams with a separate mission to complete, to kill Sasuke Uchiha. Then she explained about how she had failed her mission, gotten captured by Naruto and then convinced to desert. Of course she omitted the parts about the mind domination jutsu. That story was incredibly wild, crazy and very hard to believe. And the fact that it was being told by a teenage girl who was nothing more than a ninja trainee made it even more so. That would be it, if Hiruzen didn't already know that Orochimaru himself had already infiltrated the Leaf Village during the second part of the Chunin exams and given Sasuke the curse mark. Everything she said added up to information only the top officials of the Leaf Village had access to. It made more sense the more Hiruzen thought about it. Orochimaru was after the Sharingan, so he put up all that ruse with the Sound Village and giving the Sound Genin that mission to test Sasuke's potential. The mist that covered the whole incident slowly started to dissipate. There had to be more to it, and Hiruzen didn't like to have to admit it, but the information he got from the girl had truly been incredibly valuable. "This gives me a lot to think," said the Hokage, sitting back on his chair. "So then, will Kin be allowed to stay in the village?" asked Naruto, with an expression full of expectations. Hiruzen took a few instants to answer that. Naruto, as I said, things aren't that simple. Continued the Hokage, in a severe tone. The information she divulged here can be, indeed, very helpful and are also a good reason for us to grant her asylum. The Hokage then lit up his pipe and took a good smoke before continuing. However, there are many more steps that have to be taken in order to cement her integration to the village. First, she'll have to be handed to the intelligence division for the information to be verified and for us to make sure that she isn't up to anything that could be bad for the village. The process should take from 1 week to a month or so to complete. Naruto got seriously revolted after hearing that. Are you serious? Naruto slammed the Hokage's desk with his hands. You're saying that you're gonna lock Kin up for weeks like she's some kind of criminal. Naruto continued his yelling, with the Hokage remaining calm smoking his pipe. She comes in here and tries to help us, just for we to treat her like she's trash. When Naruto finally stops, Hiruzen starts talking again. Naruto, this has to be done. You'll understand why as you grow up. The old Hokage then put down his pipe. I can guarantee you that we'll keep her in humane accommodations and that she won't be harmed if she's truly being cooperative. There's nothing much I can do other than this. That didn't do it for Naruto, in his mind that was still wrong no matter what, and he was ready to start yelling again until Kin put her hand on his shoulder and gave him a faint smile. Don't worry, Naruto. She looked at his eyes as she talked. You've already done for me more than I could ever ask. And besides, compared to what I've been through, this won't be too difficult really. But Kin, just promise me that you'll take me to that ramen shop the day I get out, that would be enough. Can you do it? She asked, in a sarcastic but heartfelt tone. Naruto then looked down, sad, but soon came to terms with it, looking at her eyes, his own filled with determination. You bet I can. I never go back on my word. Naruto then gave her his trademark smile. If this is all said and done, I'll have to ask you to leave us, Naruto. Said Hiruzen, in a very serious tone. And one more thing, you're forbidden to tell anyone about anything you heard on this room. This is an order from the Hokage himself and it's important to keep your friend free from harm. All right, answered Naruto, nodding, before leaving the room, leaving behind a distressed Kin and a contemplative Hiruzen. Deep below in the Hidden Leaf's underground tunnel network, Danzo listened to the whole conversation in the headquarters of the Root with the spy devices he installed on Hiruzen's office. The old counselor was very intrigued, not only for the information Kin gave out, but by Naruto and what he had been capable of doing. Danzo then turned to one of his Root ninja underlings and gave out an order. Keep an eye on the girl, and on Naruto Uzumaki as well. Sakura's sudden infatuation with Naruto hadn't sat well with Ino. Their mutual liking of Sasuke was what turned them from best friends into rivals. It had been a major turning point in both their lives. And then, one day, Sakura completely gets over her feelings for Sasuke and starts dating the good-for-nothing Naruto of all people. It was like a switch had flipped in her mind. But that obviously couldn't be it. Something strange had to be happening behind the scenes, especially since Sakura wouldn't tell her anything outside of, I realized I truly liked Naruto, when Ino questioned her about it. So the Yamanaka heiress started to secretly stalk the couple around the village on her free time, making good use of the ninja skills she learned both on the academy and on her missions. Strangely, nothing really felt off. They just seemed like a normal couple. So after a long time without results, she decided to directly confront Naruto about it instead. It was already late at night, and Naruto was going back to his house alone after having had dinner with Sakura at the Ichiraku. This was the same day he had turned Kin over to the Hokage for the asylum request. It was a deserted and badly lit street in Naruto's neighborhood, the perfect spot for Ino to make her move. Naruto walked with a happy and oblivious expression. That was when Ino suddenly came out of the shadows and blocked his way. Huh. Ino. What are you doing here? You got lost or something? Asked Naruto, totally confused by the situation. Cut the crap, Naruto. Answered Ino, with a determined and no-nonsense tone. I know there's something up with you and Sakura suddenly starting to date. And you're going to tell me what that is. Naruto froze for a few instants. He hadn't prepared for something like this. Of course he couldn't tell her about the mind domination jutsu, but he also hadn't prepared any other believable story, so he decided to feign ignorance. What's wrong with you? Asked Naruto, sweating, but doing his best to act like he didn't know what she was talking about, and failing miserably on it. Come on. Are you in love with Sasuke or Sakura? Can't you just accept that she found out she likes me instead? His behavior was very suspicious and Naruto apparently wasn't the best liar under pressure. Ino knew that something was up. Naruto, I swear. If you're blackmailing her or something like that, I'm gonna kick your butt. Ino was trying to look intimidating, and it was working. Naruto was clearly scared as the girl started walking towards him. He then started to walk back on the opposite direction. I'm not. Just leave me alone, Ino. Jeez. Naruto was sweating more by the second. Clearly his strategy wasn't working. You know what? I'm out of here. You can go bother someone else. Naruto continued to walk back as the kunoichi walked towards him, leading him to a dimly lit spot below a light post. You're not going anywhere, said the girl, with a smug expression as Naruto unknowingly stepped on her trap, one much like the one he had fell on during the bell test with Kakashi-sensei. He ended up tied upside down while hanging from the light post. What's this? Ino. You're in, sir. He couldn't finish the sentence as she muffled him with a piece of cloth and grabbed the tied-up ninja, who still squirmed desperate while making muffled sounds. You're obviously hiding something from me, and I won't hold back if it's something that's making Sakura suffer. As much as she's my rival, she's my friend too, said Ino, still very determined. Now, we're going to a place better suited for me to extract all the information out of you. The girl then took Naruto to a clearing the leaf training grounds and tied him up to a tree trunk, then took out the cloth from his mouth. What the hell is your problem? Yelled Naruto, half furious and half terribly scared. Shut up, you moron. I'm doing this to save Sakura from your filthy paws. You should be grateful I'm not yet trained in my family's traditional interrogation techniques or you'd be in a world of hurt right now. Said her walking up in front of Naruto, an angry look on both their faces. I didn't do anything to Sakura. Yelled Naruto, extremely pissed off. Wrong answer, Naruto. Said Ino, crossing her arms. You're not getting rid of me until you spill the beans. I know you're hiding something. Naruto knew that if he waited long enough she'd have to free him, but then that wouldn't really do much in the long run because she wouldn't get off his and Sakura's back, and if she found out about the mind domination jutsu, it would be terrible. Or would it really? A crazy idea crossed Naruto's mind, and by the moment it started to more and more take form into something he could use to his advantage. Naruto wasn't intelligent, but he was a trickster, and he was all about making use of opportunities like that. Naruto decided to steel himself for a few seconds before putting his little plan into action. It was risky, but it would be amazing if it paid off. All right, Ino, you got me, said Naruto, very nervous, but doing his best to remain calm. I'll talk. Huh. That was easier than I expected, answered Ino, opening up a smirk. You know, I actually used a forbidden jutsu to make Sakura fall in love with me, said Naruto, making Ino raise her eyebrows. What? You expect me to believe that load? Answered Ino, getting back to being pissed. As if you would know any jutsu like that if it really existed. But I do. I learned it from the scroll of sealing the same night I learned the shadow clone jutsu. That was the truth, so Naruto sounded pretty convincing to the kunoichi. The story of Naruto being tricked by Professor Mizuki into stealing the scroll of sealing and learning the shadow clone jutsu wasn't exactly a secret in the village. So surprisingly for her, the boy's story could actually be true. It would even make sense as to why Sakura's behavior changed like the flipping of a switch. Ino's expression changed into pure rage. You disgusting little. Ino grabbed his collar. Release the jutsu right now. It can't be released, answered Naruto, again, telling her the truth. Ino was really mad. It seems that Sakura would be forever under the influence of the jutsu, but at least she would be able to expose Naruto to the village as the douchebag he is. I'm exposing you to the Hokage tomorrow, said Ino, letting him go and turning her back on him. Get ready to give up on all your hopes and dreams, you dirty jackass. This was it. Naruto's plan was entering its final stages. Wait, Ino, said Naruto, still incredibly nervous. What is it? I'm not freeing you if that's what you're gonna ask for, answered Ino, turning over to look at him. Don't you want me to teach you the jutsu? Silence. Ino hadn't thought about that possibility. Naruto was an easy way for her to learn a forbidden and very powerful jutsu, one that could get her closer to achieving her one goal, Sasuke's affection. Don't you want to make Sasuke fall completely in love with you? This is your best chance. Ino looked away. As if I needed some jutsu to make Sasuke fall in love with me, answered her, without really believing that herself. Oh really? I think you do, replied Naruto, getting more aggressive. I know Sasuke a lot more than you, and I can assure you that he isn't interested in any of you girls. Ino was scared. She was starting to agree with Naruto. Sasuke never, ever, has demonstrated any kind of feelings of affection for any girl. And would it really be that bad if she learned the jutsu from him? She'd still expose him for bewitching Sakura no matter what. She wasn't dumb though, and Naruto clearly would want something in return. And what do you want in return for teaching me this jutsu? Asked the girl, intrigued. A kiss. What? Ino exploded, immediately jumping a few feet away from Naruto after hearing that. I think I made myself pretty clear, I want a kiss, said Naruto, really scared on the inside. Do you seriously think I'm going to give you my first kiss? Asked Ino, terrified at the prospect. Yeah, if you really want to get with Sasuke. Naruto continued, looking at her in the eyes. And besides, it doesn't even count anyway, just give me a peck and I'll be happy. Just keep in mind that your second, third and all other kisses will be with Sasuke. Ino thought about it for a few instants. It was crazy, she was actually considering it. Why? Why do you want me to give you a kiss? Asked Ino, still wary of him. Because I think you're really cute, said Naruto. If he knew Ino like he thought he did, that would have to hit close to home for her, being an incredibly vain girl and all. Ino blushed for an instant but quickly regained her composure. Just take the compliment, she thought to herself. I guess it couldn't hurt. She looked away, still clearly conflicted about the whole thing. But I swear I'll kill you if this is some kind of joke. And transform into Sasuke before the kiss. I don't want to even look at your disgusting face, much less kiss it. Ino then took a few minutes to prepare herself mentally. She then untied Naruto, who quickly used the transformation jutsu and turned into a spitting image of Sasuke. He then leaned on the tree waiting for her to get ready. Ino knew that she was being a hypocrite in bashing Naruto for using the jutsu on Sakura and then wanting to learn it herself and use it on Sakura, but she really didn't care much. Nobody would know about her anyway, and she really wanted to be with Sasuke. Eventually, she came to terms with it and started walking towards the transformed Naruto. Soon after, she closed her eyes, got close to his mouth and finally, their lips connected. Naruto's plan had worked. He never intended to teach her anything, and purposefully omitted the fact that the jutsu can be cast with a simple kiss. Answer, he managed to bewitch Ino, getting rid of his biggest obstacle so far. After the kiss ended, Ino looked at him, blushing, like she had come to an incredible realization. Naruto then released the transformation jutsu. He was indeed feeling a bit guilty. He didn't want to trick Ino like that, but he couldn't let her ruin his life. That was a sacrifice that had to be made. So, you'll untie me now? Asked Naruto, now a lot calmer. Sure, I will. Ino answered, still in a bit of a daze. She freed Naruto from his bindings, then stood at his side. I'm sorry for what I did, she said in a sad tone, feeling guilty. Don't worry about that, everything is fine now. Although it would be great if you became less annoying, said Naruto, still a bit salty about the whole situation. Okay, I'll try, answered Ino, in a bit of an awkward tone. That wasn't something he necessarily wanted to happen, but Ino being nice to him for a second kinda turned him on. Naruto truly thought that Ino was pretty, but her nasty personality got in the way really hard, so he never paid much attention to her. But now, he was noticing her features. How her long blonde hair reflected the pale moonlight and how her eyes seemed to be a bit more developed than Sakura or Kin's. He wanted to have with her. Hey Ino, let's go to my house, I wanna spend the night with you, said Naruto, in a confident way. At this point he already did this multiple times. He didn't even get that nervous or awkward asking for this kind of stuff. Ino blushed, but then gave him a seductive smirk. Don't you have a girlfriend, Naruto? Why don't you ask her? Could it be that my superior beauty has gotten to you? Said her, playing games. Naruto wasn't really used to this flirting thing though, so he tried his best to come up with an answer that wouldn't ruin the mood. Don't worry about Sakura, she doesn't care. Now let's go. Naruto started walking, with the girl following after. Following Naruto's first nights with Ino and Kin, the orange ninja knew that he had a lot of explaining to do to Sakura. Not because he was afraid she'd be angry, he knew that she wasn't because of what happened with Tsunade in the Land of Waves, but just so they all could be made aware of the full picture regarding the situation to make Naruto's life easier. So the following day, Naruto called Sakura and Ino to his house in the afternoon. The girls arrived soon, and after greeting each other, they all sat around Naruto's dinner table as they waited for him to start their meeting. I'm still not really used to this, being in charge, thing, but I'll try to explain what has been going on since we got out of that forest, Naruto said, still struggling to make himself clear in his newly attained position of leadership. Don't worry about that, I'm sure you'll get used to it eventually and do great job, master, said Sakura, with a sweet smile on her face. You don't have to tell him that, forehead, said Ino, quickly jumping in on the conversation. As if he needed to be patronized by someone like you of all people. Ino had a sarcastic smirk on her face. As much as she didn't want to, that got to Sakura, especially the forehead thing. Nobody asked you, Ino, you pig, answered the pink-haired Kunoichi, clearly angry. Stop being so annoying. Sparkles of electricity came out of both their eyes as they stared at each other, furious. Clearly their rivalry hadn't really waned even after having the mind domination jutsu cast upon them. Naruto didn't really want them to keep antagonizing each other, and he knew that they'd probably stopped if he outright ordered them, but he didn't feel like that would be the right thing to do at this time. He was still a bit confused, not sure about how he should act having been suddenly thrust into such an unusual position. Hey, we're getting off topic here, said Naruto, making both the girls look back at him. First off, stop with that master thing already, it's weird, just stick to calling me Naruto. Second, let's go back to what I was about to tell you. Naruto crossed his fingers as he tried his best to get serious before starting. Do you two remember the girl from the Sound Ninja team? Said Naruto, in a cautious tone. I do, said Sakura, her gears slowly turning. Wait, does that mean? The pink-haired Kunoichi had an awkward expression on her face. I don't like where this is going. Ino too had a similar expression. I used the mind domination jutsu in her too back at the forest, and a few weeks from now, she's gonna come and live with me. Naruto then explained the situation to the two girls, of course excluding the details about the information that Kin had divulged to the old Hokage out of respect for having given his word to him. He told them how Kin was being hunted down by the Sound and about how the leaf would give her asylum after that small confinement period. That's so unfair, said Ino, looking comically frustrated. I wanted to be the one living with you. Being jealous won't help you, Ino pig, answered Sakura, feeling a tad jealous herself. Boys don't like women who are way too clingy. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you two all this so that you'll be ready once Kin gets freed. Interrupted Naruto, steering the flow of the conversation back on the right track. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna go ask Kakashi-sensei to train me for the finals. I'm gonna have to train really hard since I'm going up against Neji. Naruto looked determined, really wanted to pummel the Hyuga boy on the face after what he'd done to Hinata back in the preliminaries. I can help you in your training, Naruto, said Sakura, in an eager tone. I'm pretty good with chakra control, so I'm sure I can be of help. Me too, said Ino, just as eager. And if someone as worthless as Forehead can help, I'm sure that I'm qualified too. What did you say? Answered Sakura angrily, while she once again stared down her arch-rival. And there were we once again, with Naruto not really sure as to how he should defuse that situation this time. He didn't want to order them like they were pets or something, but he knew that he had to try and patch up their relationship in the long term as their fights were really annoying, even if it was a bit arousing for the horny genin to have two beautiful girls fighting over him. It was then that he came up with a plan. Hey, girls, said Naruto, confidently, with a foxy grin. I'm sure you remember what our senseis told us, about ninjas and teamwork and all that stuff. Said Naruto, getting up from his chair. I think we need to improve on that. How about we have a little teamwork exercise today? What kind of teamwork exercise? Asked Sakura, with a curious expression. In response to that, Naruto simply took off his pants, revealing his erection for them to see. It was then that the girls finally understood what he meant. Naruto sat on his sink, his hanging out hard as it usually was, as he waited for the girls to approach him. Finally, I get the chance to show Naruto how much better than you I am, said Ino with a confident smirk, looking at an equally confident Sakura. Keep dreaming, Ino pig, answered Sakura, as they both got closer to Naruto. The girls them started to pleasure Naruto's and balls. They licked his shaft, ed his shift, massaged his balls, both the girls trying their hardest to pleasure the man they loved more than anything. Sakura quickly noticed how Ino was, although not better than her, pretty skilled at blowjobs, and she felt like the girl was stealing her thunder. It was then that Sakura had an idea as to how further pleasure her boyfriend. As Ino licked Naruto's tip, Sakura went in, grabbed his balls with one hand and raised him a bit, just to start licking and ing the area between Naruto's balls and his. Naruto hadn't been ed there before, so his quickly took notice of the pleasure and got even harder. This is amazing, said Naruto in response to what Sakura was doing, feeling himself approaching his climax. Soon, the pleasure of the two rivals pleasuring him became far too much and Naruto's orgasm came. I'm coming, said him, and as Ino heard that, she swallowed his tip, taking all of the sperm inside her mouth, and then swallowing it all the while blushing like crazy with pleasure. Both the girls were crazy wet at that point. Let's take this to my room. The trio of lovers then went to Naruto's messy bedroom, with the girls quickly removing the rest of his clothing and laying him on the bed. Only to after that get themselves. Sakura, ride me, said Naruto, as the pink-haired Kunoichi eagerly straddled him and inserted his inside her, letting out a small moan. Ino, get on my face. The blonde happily obliged as she sat on Naruto's mouth, letting him lick her as Sakura rode him. Naruto was having the time of his life. He never imagined that he'd ever be having with two girls at the same time. If this was some time before, Naruto would feel guilty about having with someone other than Sakura, but now, after having ed so many girls, he learned to just enjoy the pleasure to the fullest since Sakura clearly didn't care for sharing him. Sakura rode Naruto like a stallion, doing her best to show him that she was better than Ino, all the while Ino did the same to his face, the two girls in front of each other, looking at each other in the eyes with complicated feelings as they pleasured the man they loved. Once again, Naruto got close to coming, as he grabbed Sakura's plump, thrusted his deep inside her and released his cum on her. Ino and Sakura soon had their orgasms as well. But it didn't end there, the trio kept having until nighttime, when they all went their separate ways. As he watched the girls live below the moonlight, a weird feeling of solitude started to creep in. Naruto enjoyed when Sakura often would spend the night with him, but in the days where he'd have to stay alone it was like he was still the village's outcast, with no one to comfort him. That was one of the reasons why he had suggested that kin live together with him. Soon, however, Naruto pushed those thoughts away as he concerned himself with more pressing matters like making dinner. There was no need to wail in misery, he had already learned how to deal with that at this point in life. It wasn't often that Anko was summoned to the Hokage's office to have a direct talk with the old man. At least, it wasn't, until her former sensei, Orochimaru, had decided to set his sights on the leaf once again. She had a hunch that this meeting would have something to do with him, and she was already dreading it. Especially after their encounter in the Forest of Death where she tried to kill him but failed miserably. Soon, she knocked on the office's door and entered, on to find a very serious third Hokage sitting behind his desk. I'm here, sir, said Anko in a serious tone. Very well, said Hiruzen, after taking a smoke out of his pipe. Anko, I have an S-rank mission for you. If Anko suspected that this was about Orochimaru before, now she was sure of it. S-rank. What else could it be in a situation like that? I have good reason to believe that the Leaf Village's Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki, may be targeted by the Sound Village and Orochimaru in the near future, said the old man, still smoking his pipe. Orochimaru is after our tailed beast too? Asked Anko, in a troubled tone. I thought he was just after the Sharingan. We aren't sure if he's after that, but Naruto Uzumaki made contact with a rogue ninja from the Sound and managed to make her desert. So far, it indeed seems that she is sincere on wanting to betray the Sound. However, this whole situation still doesn't sit well with me, and with Orochimaru being who he is, I'm sure that it won't sit well with him either. Continued Hiruzen, still very serious. I fear that there is a strong possibility Orochimaru may target Naruto Uzumaki, and this is where you come in. I want you to spy on Naruto and keep him safe at all times, under the guise of becoming his teacher and training him during this month before the Chunin exams finals. Revealed Hiruzen, making Anko raise her eyebrows. This mission will go on until I call it off. Meanwhile, send me daily updates about the situation with Naruto Uzumaki. Understood. Yes sir, I guess, that wasn't what Anko expected, who would have thought that she'd have to become the teacher of that annoying brat who tried to sass her a few days before. The reason I chose you is that he reminds me a lot of you when you were young. I'm sure you won't have much trouble getting along with him. Please don't say that, Lord Hokage, said Anko, cringing at the idea that she had once been similar to that brat. One last thing, remember to never let him discover the true nature behind your mission. This could cause many unnecessary problems on the mission and it would damage Naruto's trust in the village's upper echelon, which is something we don't need happening. Are we clear? Understood. I'll do my best, Lord Hokage, answered Anko, still with many doubts about that mission, but still willing to do it since it was something of great importance to the village. Early in the morning, Naruto, Sakura and Ino had went to meet Kakashi to ask for training for the Chunin exams finals. To Naruto's dismay, Kakashi had already made plans to train Sasuke. The Junin then gave alleged good news to the furious Naruto, that the Hokage himself had handpicked a trainer for him, and that he was to meet this teacher in the training fields of the village in that day's afternoon. Getting excited again, Naruto soon made his way with the two girls to the training fields, eager to see who was the awesome ninja that the Hokage had picked to teach him. Finally getting to the location, the orange Kunklehead ninja noticed that the only person there was Anko, the ninja he knew as the proctor from the second exam. It's you, yelled Naruto, dumbstruck, quickly recognizing the dango-eating girl sitting on a cut-off tree trunk. Isn't that the proctor for the second part of the Chunin exams? Asked Sakura, confused. Yeah, it's me, answered Anko, getting on her feet. My name is Anko Mitarashi, Special Junin of the Hidden Leaf. I was the one assigned by the Hokage to be your trainer, Naruto. You're gonna be training me? No way. Why couldn't it be someone cool like Kakashi-sensei? How am I supposed to compete with Sasuke like this? Naruto was genuinely disappointed as his first impressions of Anko were, to say the least, a tad unpleasant. Anko got angry quickly after hearing that. Hey, I wouldn't be here either if I hadn't been ordered by the Hokage, yelled Anko back at him. After a few more minutes of bickering, Naruto finally accepted that he was stuck with Anko and decided to make the most of it. All right, I understand. Now let's just get this started, okay? Said an annoyed Naruto with a foxy expression. By the way, are those two your friends, Naruto? Answered Anko, finally noticing the two female genin who had followed Naruto there. Hello, I'm Sakura Haruno. Said Sakura, in her usual charming tone. Ino Yamanaka. Said Ino, in a similar fashion. They wanted to help me train for THR finals, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to have their help. Explained Naruto, still feeling a bit awkward at that. Don't worry about that, training in groups is more effective anyway. Said Anko, making her way to the river close by. Alright, let's start today's training with walking on water. And thus, the first day of training started. Sakura got the gist of it pretty quickly, with Ino and Naruto struggling a bit. Naruto eventually did manage to perform the water walking, but that didn't stop Anko from roasting and making fun of him at every time he failed, like she had lots of fun teasing him. That seriously pissed off Naruto, but he did his best to brush everything away and focus on his training. In the end of the day, the training session was over and the three genin bid their farewells to Anko for the day. The sun was already about to set as Naruto and the two girls made their way back to the village. Naruto, being extremely stressed out after spending the whole day training at his limit and getting made fun of by Anko, decided he needed to have another threesome with the girls to relieve the stress, so he asked them if they could spend the night with Hai, to which they readily said yes. Anko, with her mission being to make sure Naruto was safe at all times and to spy on him, did her best to sneak around stalking him around the city. She thought it was a bit strange that both the girls had entered Naruto's house with him at night, but she then figured that he had just invited them for dinner and that they'd soon leave the place. Midnight came, and they hadn't left. Early in the morning, Naruto, Sakura and Ino once again made their way to the training field in order to continue the daily training with the special Junin Anko Mitarashi. In the previous day, the trio had spent their night at Naruto's house where they engaged in quite the promiscuous activities which Anko had witnessed firsthand while spying on the Orange Ninja, as per the Hokage's orders. For the trio of genin, that morning of training went on as usual. But for Anko, it was pretty awkward. Anko hadn't been shocked by seeing people having group, she was an adult after all. What shocked her was the fact that it was Naruto, of all people, doing it with two girls. The purple-haired Junin had many impressions of the knucklehead ninja after getting to know him, but she certainly never thought of him as a ladies' man. What they did that night wasn't illegal nor was it morally wrong, but it was unusual for sure. She never expected Naruto to be getting that intimate with women, especially with how unusual his personality seemed to be. Anyway, she did her best to try and brush these thoughts away as she kept supervising the three genins training. And by the afternoon, after they had their boxed lunches and Anko finishing her dangos, and after the trio mastered water walking, it was time for her to teach them something new, and she knew just the jutsu that would make the three genins see how cool of a ninja she was. Alright, listen up, said Anko, throwing the wooden stick of her dango at Naruto's feet, who was still eating his rice ball, startling the ninja. Lunchtime is over, let's get back to training. You didn't have to do that just to grab my attention, yelled Naruto, pissed off. It's your fault for not being perceptive enough, answered Anko, with a devilish smirk. A ninja must always be aware of his surroundings. If that had been an enemy ninja throwing a shuriken at your neck, you'd be dead. Continued the Junin. She was right on what she had just said, but in truth she really just wanted to screw with Naruto. It was very easy to make fun of him and she loved doing it. So, are we getting back to walking on water, Anko-sensei? Asked Sakura, doing her best to avoid yet another argument between those two awfully similar people. No, I think you three already got the hang of that. It's time to step up our game, answered Anko, walking a few feet away from where the trio was standing, then turning her back on them. Watch this. The purple-haired Kunoichi then quickly bit her thumb, did a few hand signs and then took her hand to the ground. Summoning jutsu, yelled her, as a puff of smoke came out of nowhere, covering the space where Anko was standing. As the smoke dissipated, the trio of genin were greeted with the sight of Anko with a snake roughly 8 feet long tangled around her body. A summoning jutsu. I remember reading about those in the academy, commented Ino, intrigued about what she had just witnessed. It's a jutsu where the shinobi summons ninja beasts to fight or complete tasks on their behalf. Explained Sakura, already having been fully acquainted with the jutsu because of Kakashi's proficiency with it. It's an extremely useful jutsu for a ninja to have at his disposal. Precisely, Sakura, said Anko, untangling the snake and moving it to the ground. And that's what I'll start teaching you three starting from today. It's not an easy jutsu to master, but since we still have the whole month, I think you might get it done if you give it your all. Naruto was doubtful about that jutsu. You're gonna teach us to summon snakes? Asked Naruto, thinking back at the two giant snakes he had fought against back in the Forest of Death. Can't we have some other animal instead? Anko felt a bit insulted at that. Well, you can always give up on training and go face Neji as you are right now, suggested Anko, giving Naruto a nasty look. Don't worry, Naruto, said Sakura, putting her hand on her boyfriend's shoulder. Snakes are not my favorite animal either, but if it's gonna make us stronger in the end, I think it's a valid card to have up our sleeves. I hate snakes, but I'll have to agree with Forehead on that one, said Ino, crossing her arms. All right then, said Naruto, giving in. How do we start? Anko them summoned the scroll that contained the snake summoning contract and instructed the three genin to write the names with blood on it. With that being done, the special Junin taught them the hand signs for the jutsu and told them try the jutsu out. Sakura managed to summon a small 15 inches long snake. Ino had similar results summoning a 10-inch long snake. Naruto, on the other hand, only managed to summon a tiny 2 inches long baby snake, almost making Anko die of laughter after witnessing the boy's lack of natural talent. The afternoon progressed with the usual training routine. They kept at it practicing the summoning jutsu, with Naruto showing very little progress, until the sun started to set and they wrapped everything up for the day. Both girls had important things to take care with their families that night, so Naruto decided not to ask for them to stay with him in order to not arouse suspicion, so the two Kunoichi left early, leaving Naruto and Anko alone in the training field. The Junin saw Naruto start to walk out of there alone and felt a bit sorry for him. Despite her constant teasing of him, she didn't hate him or anything. Deep down, she just picked so much on him because of how much the boy acted like a younger version of herself. So, she got an idea of what to do in order to cheer him up a bit. Hey Naruto, wanna come have dinner with me? Asked her, in a cheerful tone. Naruto looked back at her with raised eyebrows. No way. As if I'd trust my food to be anywhere close to you, answered Naruto, genuinely scared she'd mess with his food behind the scenes just to get a kick out his reaction. Oh, that's a shame, said Anko, in a theatrical manner. Just when I was in the mood to have some ramen with someone and pay the whole tab. But I guess I'll have to settle for asking that handsome Uchiha boy to come with me. Anko had done her homework on Naruto before undertaking her mission. She knew exactly which buttons to press in order to get him going. All right, I'll go, answered Naruto, making a foxy expression. The duo of master and student then made their way to Ichiraku Ramen in order to have the dinner. Naruto, as expected, made the most out of the opportunity and stuffed himself with as much ramen as he could. Anko ate a lot as well, and then ordered a bottle of sake to go with it. Taking very generous sips of sake as she waited for Naruto to finish. Being who he is, Naruto took a while to finish all his bowls, which in turn caused Anko to end up drinking a little more than what she initially intended to. Then, they started to talk and have fun, with Chuki, the owner of the Ichiraku, even joining in every now and then. So what happened, Naruto? Back then you used to come eat here alone, but now every time you come by you bring a different girl alongside you. Joked Chuki, making Naruto giggle at that. Anko, at this point already pretty tipsy, followed along with the conversation. Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, said the special Junin. What do you mean by that? Asked Naruto, clueless. Anko had her cheeks all red and a devilish smile on her face as she continued to speak. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, Naruto. Anko took another sip of her sake bottle. The good times you have with those two girls that follow you around. Naruto gasped when he heard that. Could she have picked up on Naruto's relationship with the girls? If so, how did she do it? That was bad. He needed to get to the bottom of that. But before anyone could say anything more, Anko suddenly felt the urge to puke, having drank way too much sake. She then left the payment money next to the counter and ran away to look for somewhere she could throw up. She then found a nearby children's playground and did her deed, then sitting on a small park bench to rest up. It was then that Naruto caught up to her. Are you okay? Asked the orange ninja, without getting too close. I am, answered Anko, chuckling at the situation, still drunk. What are you still doing here? Are you gonna try and take advantage of a defenseless maiden like me in this deserted place? She said, jokingly. As if, answered Naruto, crossing his arms, you're the farthest thing from a defenseless maiden I know of. Commented the genin, making the woman start laughing a lot. Even if Naruto's jest hadn't been that funny, she was drunk after all. You're funny, Naruto, said her, looking at him in the eyes. I'm starting to see how you managed to seduce Sakura and Ino. Naruto took a step back after hearing that. How do you? Asked the boy. Oh, I can already picture it in my head. Continued Anko, having a lot of fun with her nonsense drunk talk. Two rivals falling head over heels for a guy who was apparently a loser, but had much more to offer when it came to other fields of study. And then, unable to give up on him, the two rivals decided on sharing the guy. Sharing the guy. Naruto was in awe, she knew it. She knew what was happening between him and the other two girls. And how exactly did she know that, since he explicitly told Sakura and Ino to keep up the ruse in public? There was only one way, she spied on him. That meant that Anko was a danger to him and his new way of life, and she had to be taken care of as soon as possible. But how? Soon, he came up with an idea in his mind. He'd use the mind domination jutsu on her like he had did with Ino to shut her up. He could even ask her if there was something more he was missing in this whole story. Answer: Naruto decided to start preparing the terrain for him to cast the jutsu on her. Hey Anko, let me take care of you. I think you're way too drunk to be out on your own. Especially at this time. said him, doing his best not to sound suspicious. She then gave him a tazzing look. Oh, what a gentleman. Are you trying to woo me like the others? She joked, starting to make Naruto a bit nervous. Look, just let me take you home, okay? And that's not because I'm scared of something happening to you, I'm scared of something happening to the village with you walking around in that state. Naruto was indeed trying to fool her into letting him take her home, but Naruto's last remark was totally sincere. Charming, answered Anko, stumbling a bit before getting up on her feet. Let's get going then. The couple then made their way to Anko's home, with Naruto having to help her around in the way to keep her from falling over in the street. Once they got to her house, they entered her room and Anko immediately took off her coat, headband and ninja gear. Then jumping in the bed and falling asleep almost instantly. And there stood Naruto, alone in a dark room with an unconscious Anko. Well, that had been easier than he thought. He noticed how introducing alcohol into the mix made his job a lot easier than it had been with the other girls. He decided to keep that in mind in case he found himself in similar situations in the future. All right, let's get on with it, said Naruto, as he crawled in bed and found Anko's lips, kissing her and activating the jutsu. A few seconds had passed and then Anko came up to her senses, her face with the same expression as all the other girls when they had been first hit with the mind domination jutsu. Naruto also noticed her plump Anko's s looked without her coat blocking the view, she looked amazing in that fishnet shirt. And he was starting to get horny. Anko, are you feeling better? Asked the orange ninja, without getting out of the bed. Yes, master, she answered, this time in quite the different tone. All right, then, said Naruto, reassured that everything worked despite Anko having been asleep. I have many questions to ask you, but first, there's something I need taken care of. And what's that? In response to that, Naruto simply took off his pants to reveal his erect, making Anko smirk teasingly. Answer, she didn't waste any time and started ing on his. Naruto got impressed right away, her skill had been the best so far out of all the girls he'd been with. Anko definitely had significantly more UL experience than any of the other girls. Quickly, with her masterful licking, stroking and ing, Anko managed to make Naruto come. Getting out of the way right before his erupted, making all the jizz spray on the bed sheets. I guess that's it for the foreplay, or do you still want to fool around more? Asked her, seeing how Naruto's still hadn't calmed down after coming once. Without answering her question with words, Naruto took off her fishnets, revealing a pair of plump s. No bra? Asked Naruto, jokingly, to which Anko simply giggled in response. I could start wearing one if you want. Answered her, with a seductive smile. But if I did, you wouldn't be able to stare at me during our training sessions. And you seem to like doing that a lot. Anko then took the lead in bed, getting on top of Naruto and involving his with her s.